What's up, y'all? Christian here, also known as Visionary CJ, and I'm making this video because I feel like I need to. Today's a milestone day, in my life. It's Friday, August 29th, 1 p.m. Right now. I just got home, worked a half day, at my full-time job. So I got home early, and I'm getting ready to go on a trip. Before I talk about the trip, I want to talk about what just happened when I pulled up in my parking spot. I got an email from a client that I was working with, and he signed a contract. So he forwarded over the contract signed, and it's my first sale at this company. It's just dope. It's a technology company, and I don't have a technology background at all, but the owner of the company is my mentor, and so he gave me this position, really just because he rocks with me. And I know he didn't expect this to happen, but it happened. I signed a bank deal with the bank, 200 employees, 10 locations, 12 locations. So it's lit. This is a big deal for me. And I'm super, super happy, super excited. My first sale of many, but it's a monumental day for me. So that's lit. And another thing, I'm getting ready to go on a trip, like I said, but the trip I'm going to a cabin in the mountains, and I'm meeting up with my business coach slash mentor slash one of my biggest influences, a guy named Tony Gaskins. And I first learned about Tony Gaskins about 2 or 3 years ago now. I listened to a podcast episode. He was a guest on the podcast, and his story just related to mine so much. He didn't grow up with positive influences, was a womanizer, he was a writer, and now he's a millionaire. Right? And so it just related to me. And so I remember, when I first heard it, I would listen to it like over and over again, every day. And then I actually started an organization at my university, because I was in college at the time. And I started an organization called Dynamic Dreamers, where it's basically young people who had a desire to be entrepreneurs. And so I led the group, and we just met up, I think it was weekly, and we just talked about our problems, talked about what we were going through, to see how we could help each other. And I remember I shared the podcast episode in our group chat, because I was like, yo, this is dope. His story really touched me. Maybe it'll touch y'all too, listen to it. And fast forward 3 years later, I get this job, I graduate, I get this job at this tech company. I start having a consistent income. And so I'm like, hey, I'm going to invest in a business coach. Right? And so this process, how it worked, when I first, had the idea that I wanted to do it, I just reached out to somebody in my network who I knew was a business coach. So I reached out to a guy that I met. His name is Casey, super dope guy, and he coaches businesses on how to basically strategize, better, right, and just reach the results they want to reach. And so I reached out to him, and I'm like, yo, bro, I want to invest in a business coach. What should I do? And so he's like, look, when it comes to business coaching, you want to invest in someone who's doing exactly what you want to do, and see if they'll coach you. And I was like, cool. And so eventually he said he'll be my business coach. So I'm like, nah, you're not really doing what I want to do, but thank you anyway. Right? And so once I started thinking like, okay, who do I look up to? Who is somebody that's doing something I want to do? I instantly thought of Tony. And so I went to his website and saw that he's offering coaching. But at the time he was only offering relationship coaching. And so I was like, okay, I'll just, type in a message. And I was like, hey, I want to hire you for coaching, but I don't need help with my relationships. I need help with my business and my brand. And so it was like, yeah, sign up. And so boom, I think it was like 300. So I was like, okay, 300 for an hour, totally worth it. And so I did that, had our first call. It was incredible. And three or four calls later, he tells me about this idea that he wants to start a blog website. And I'm like, bro, I'm a writer. I have a writing business. That's what I do. And so he was like, so maybe we can collab and partner. And I'm like, bro, let's do it. Like, what? No brainer. And so, about a couple weeks ago, he was like, yo, let's link up, find an Airbnb in the mountains, bring your girl, I bring my wife. We can link up and just collab. And I'm just like, bro, easy. So I did that, found an Airbnb, found a chef, and his wife's not coming. He's bringing his mentee, but you know, my girl's still coming. And bro, we getting ready to drive up there today and to just mastermind the whole weekend and talk about, you know, what our visions are, right? And see if our visions can align. And for me, it's just crazy how everything came full circle, you know, from hearing his story, you know, on the podcast. And part of that was, you know, what motivated me to start my own podcast. And so just all of that, just starting there and then, you know, hiring him and getting to the point where we're at now, where he feels comfortable enough with me, I think, to, you know, be my business partner. Is just like crazy, you know, and it's just God. Like, I'm so grateful that God has just blessed me the way he has, and I don't deserve it. But I do know I have a responsibility, you know, especially during these times, like, especially being a black man, like, you know, I'm culturally I'm classified as tall, dark, and handsome, right? And so just being that, but being educated, you know, having wisdom, you know, thanks to God, I have a responsibility to be a voice. And so I'm excited to just talk with bro and see, you know, what he has in mind. Because for me, I'm just a humble servant. You know, the money is not the first thing on my mind. You know, I care about impact, right? One of my favorite quotes ever is, if you struggle to make a difference, you'll never struggle to make a dollar. And so I know that if I can just make a difference for my people and just give them motivation, then I know, like, I'll be fulfilling my purpose. Because it's a war right now, and it's like a lot of black men are just experiencing trauma, whether they know it or not, right? From George Floyd happening last month or 2 months ago, I don't know, and then Jacob Blake happening last week. It's like, dang, bro, we can't catch a break. You know, every time we seem like every time, you know, every couple of weeks we just see more trauma. And then with the president, it's just like, bro, is this real life? But it is real life, you know. And the world is evil at the end of the day, right? Like, we're not of this world. As Christians, as believers, we're not of this world, but we do live in it. And God, you know, works everything for the good of those who love him and believe in him and part of his kingdom. And so, you know, I have faith in him. I don't have faith in this world. And so that's what I'm leaning on, you know, during this time, this weekend, and just moving forward. And so I just want to come in and make this video just because this is a powerful moment in my life, and I'm very excited. You know, I can't wait to document this journey, but then follow up and make a video after this, you know, once everything is over, and just update you, because it may go well, it may not, you know, but either way, I'm just grateful for the opportunity. And man, it's an amazing feeling. And so I hope this video inspired you in some way, and just look forward to the future. And yeah, let me know your thoughts. Hit me up. Let me know. Peace. What's up, y'all? I'm back. Today, Sunday. Just got back from the cabin, the mountain trip with Tony. It was amazing. It definitely exceeded my expectations. The vibe, the energy was awesome. I was able to meet another great, you know, young Christian brother, Caleb. We clicked instantly, and then the chef that we had was just so dope. Everything was just beautiful. You know, I really enjoyed it. So I just want to come in and talk about it, right? Because prior to leaving, I was kind of anxious and nervous, and I didn't know really what to expect. But now that it's over with, you know, kind of just gave me a different perspective of just the guy Tony is, and just what the future, you know, can hold, God willing. And so where should I even start? I think I should start with just talking about my brother Caleb. And because originally, like I said, Tony was supposed to bring his wife, but his wife couldn't come because she had to be with the kids and whatnot. And so Caleb came instead, and my girlfriend still came, and I think she enjoyed it also. But yeah, just meeting Caleb, I didn't know what to expect, but bro's just a good dude, you know, southern guy, like my family. You know, my mom and my dad are both super southern. And it's crazy because Caleb's aunt and my mom are from the same city in Alabama, which is like super small, like 100 people type small. So of course they knew each other. And that's just crazy because I never ever just met a random person who even knows where that city is, Millionaire, Alabama. And so that was dope. And just hearing his story and seeing how much like we related to each other, primarily on the side of just being young men, grew up in the church, but then just kind of fell into a season of just being a womanizer. And that's crazy. That's how all three of us, me, Caleb, and Tony, we relate in that aspect of just once being a womanizer, and then being intentional about building a relationship with Christ and knowing and discovering what it means to love a woman. And so being able to connect and just hear his story and see how it related to mine, that was just incredible. That was incredible. And then, hearing Tony's story again, and it's crazy because I already know it just because, like I said earlier, I listened to his interview, on the podcast like so many times. So I already knew bruh's story, but just hearing it from his mouth and, seeing him in person was super cool. Super, super cool. And let's see, I don't want to say too much, but we might even be able to partner on a project together, which would just be amazing. And it'll be a way to really just be a light in the world, be a light for our community, for our people, because I think more black men, more black people in general need to just experience like minds and like hearts, just positivity and optimism and just good energy, because just on social media and the news, it just gives off this bad vibes, and that's bad for our spirits, because what we see with our eyes and what we hear with our ears, like it goes straight to our mind, and that affects our hearts. And so I just think that's just important to just curate and engineer that positivity in some way, whether it be through writing, whether it be through like video like this, whether it be through an event, I don't even know, but I do want to just be intentional about that moving forward and just engineering that positivity and that good energy. So yeah, it was a great experience. It was a super, super cool experience. I'm glad it went well, and I'm just looking forward to the future and what's to come. And so I'm just in this video just by talking about like how I was able to really like manifest this relationship, honestly. So I think I covered a little bit the first half of the video, but I'll just do an overarching view, right? And so it started out just being exposed to his story and being aware of who he was. Because before that interview, I didn't even know, like I had no idea who Tony was. But hearing his interview, hearing his story, and seeing how it related to mine, and just seeing how you went from that stage of womanizer, in the streets, to being a writer, millionaire, faithful husband, faithful father, and just hearing, I really just hearing the transition period that he experienced, it, kind of gave me an idea and really a blueprint of like what I need to do, right? And that number one is just being faithful, being faithful to my partner, to my girlfriend, because once I'm faithful to her, everything else in my life will fall into place. And that's another thing that Tony shared this weekend. It's like once he really just fully submitted to his wife, his business just took off, right? And just like in the word, he who finds a wife finds a good thing, has favor on his life. And he said that he's just a living testimony of that. And so hearing him do that, it kind of just shifted my mindset to where I understood that I had to be faithful in order to really fulfill my purpose, right? And then so just listening to those interviews back to back to back and implementing what he taught into my life until it got to the point where I was in a better position to where I was willing to invest in myself. And that's like one of the biggest things, because if I never would have invested in myself, I never would have met Tony, right? So just having the confidence and having the awareness that investing in myself will be a good return no matter what happened. I took that step to reach out to him and, pay that couple $100 to have just an hour and just tell him my story. And that's what I did, and just the first call that we had, him just affirming that I was going to be successful no matter what I did, just the way God has been moving in my life so far. I needed that. And hearing that from him was just even better. And so then just doing that again, booking more calls, chopping it up some more, and just seeing what his vision is, right? And seeing like where I can align in that, if I do at all. And I did, right? He told me kind of what some of his future goals were, and I saw a way that I can be of value to him, right? Because in any mentorship relationship, it has to be symbiotic, right? Both parties have to benefit in some way. And it's like, of course, I just benefit just by being around him and, hearing his knowledge. And then I also have skills that I've been working on, the past 5 years to help with everything that I'm doing. And so I'm able to, add value to him once I really understood what his goals were, right? And then just taking advantage of opportunity, right? Because in one of our calls, he was like, yeah, I'm trying to do this. I kind of think that we may be able to do something together, but I don't know. And I'm like, yeah, we definitely can do it. Let's make it happen. I'm down to add value however I can, right? And just coming with that energy and bringing that energy. And so he feels that, and he's like, yeah, matter of fact, let's just go ahead and meet in person. I'm gonna, find an Airbnb and let's meet. And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And so within like a day, I find an Airbnb, find a chef, and I'm like, here, bro, I have it. I think I gave him a list of like 15 places, the same day, just because like speed is important in a lot of ways. And so I just learned that, when the opportunity presents itself, you gotta attack in that moment, and then just following up, between the day that I sent him to places and then the day that he booked it, just following up and just, just make sure I'm having those touch points and reaching out in some way. And then when we meet in person, I just had to not be anxious, even though I was, just had to not show it and just realize that, bro, just a human, just like me. And it's crazy because just on the way there, my girlfriend in the car with me, and when we first left the house, like my energy is just chaotic. And she just told me on the way home, like, yeah, your energy was chaotic. You were anxious. And I was like, yeah, I was, but I didn't say that with my mouth, because I didn't want to put that in the world. But yeah, just realizing like, bro, it's cool. And we just men at the end of the day. And so that's really just how I manifested that. And now it's like, yeah, bro, it's definitely a big brother, a future business partner, and hopefully just a lifelong relationship. And so just lastly, if anybody is interested in just finding a mentor and finding that guidance, find somebody who's doing something that you want to do and figure out how to gain access to them. If they offer coaching, if they offer a private community, whatever they offer, right? Like when it comes to personal development and investing in yourself, I learned that you don't really pay for information, you pay for access, access to that person. And that access can just lead to so many different things, or it may not lead to anything, but just investing in yourself is the best thing that you can do. And just this whole journey so far, the past couple of months, is just a testament to that.